Alrighty guys, today we are seeing a critical break on the US market side for the memory stocks, semiconductor and the chip stocks. However, this shouldn't be a surprise to you if you have seen my video last night on Kospi is struggling at a critical zone. Many of you haven't watched this, so you can't just hop on one video and then miss out, because then that's not the way market works. You have to understand the price action every day if you're managing your position. So we had a Kospi sell-off yesterday, and I was talking about in that very video that how Kospi is struggling. This is Kospi at a very critical zone. Okay, so make sure you have hit the notification bell on my channel, because you don't want to miss out these updates. Okay, you got to be serious to manage the money. Okay, so we just 7,000 still kept rejecting on Kospi, didn't look good. SK Hynix also continued in the decline on the Korean side, not looking good, and so is Samsung. Anyways, I was talking about these very critical resistances yesterday in my evening video, and seems like today that is transitioning into the US market as well. Now, you may not hear much in the news about the war side of the things, US, Israel, Iran. There is, in the big media, that's just not the topic they have chosen to talk about. Okay, and which is unfortunate, because it is not keeping investors fully aware about what is really going on. Financial institutions, they have all the research at their hands to make decisions based off of that, but not you, not us. All right, so we have to look into it ourselves. However, we are seeing, if we just do technicals, that's sufficient. Okay, that's why we do the technicals, because you don't want, because they will tell you one news and just not tell you 100 other news, right? And news technically doesn't really matter that much. It does act as a catalyst to the ongoing price action, but price action comes first. So anyways, having said that, want to let you know, none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. Okay, so Micron unfortunately is losing 950. That was the zone. Below that is the risk management. Now, however you have your position, long term, short term, multi-day, day trade, accordingly, when we lose the structure based on that type of a horizon of your trade style, 950 below, just saying, that's where the risk management has to be, because that's where the price action will again gain the weakness. If you need more understanding and learning on how to plan these trades, what does it even mean, of what type of a trade will define what type of a stop loss you need, what type of a trade will define the positioning sizes and all, then join my Patreon. You will find tailor-made courses, and I'll create a tailor-made course for you just to help you understand. All right, so anyways, 950 losing below, Micron is getting back in the weakness. Let's get to the hourly interval, because is this really a problem? Is this really a problem? As for right now, yes, it is a problem. If we are not closing above 950, we will remain in the problem, as that's where the break of the price action is to the downside. And that's something I have already told you before. 950 is what we have to still hold, and below that is the risk management. Technically, we have opened up the doors again to 890, and which pretty much doesn't mean that it's a buy at 890 right now. It just means that it will come down there, and then we'll see what happens. It can come down to 853 as well. Anyways, weakness on Micron right now, and so be prepared. And across the board, market is today green and red, but definitely memory stocks and chip stocks are taking the brunt of it. So excuse me, but there are many stocks still hovering around the red. So we'll take a look at that, especially Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500. We'll take a look at that. Sandisk. So as I always say, levels are something we have to always use. Our trend lines are only for the reference. You will see breaches quite a lot on the trend line. So I'm going to get rid of this now. It technically has served our purpose for reference, but we are losing. 1500 was the base we had to hold. We are not holding it. That means price action has broken on Sandisk also. Those upsides that we were getting, and yes, we were gaining strength here, but once we lose that zone of 1500, between 1500 and 1600, it's over. Okay. At this point, this pretty much, again, unfortunately, since we have made a full round trip down, it's the $1,600 zone that becomes your ongoing resistance from here. Okay, below that, Sandisk is in the weakness, will continue to be in the weakness, and let's see what other levels we can gain. Now, can it form a double bottom here? There's a likelihood, but it's not a confirmed bottom. We will have to see where the price action will turn around. If for any reason by the end of the day Sandisk comes up and closes closer to 1600, yeah, that may change the sentiment, but that's the whole point. Can we regain back up there? Because below that we are in the weakness right now. SK Hynix is, well, SK Hynix on the Korean market was already declining, and its prior context is also that it is been coming from the downtrend, and that still remains the case, right? So it's still just been rebounding and still selling off. It's still technically in the overall not really getting out of the rebound and the sideways structure, so it also remains negative right now. But it's better be followed upon on the Korean side of the things, where it still remains in the negative structure here, right? Because the prior context you can see has been in the decline, right? So all right, let's get to now Seagate. So Seagate is the one where it is still strong, guys. Actually, yes, it is a little bit weakening here today, but it is overall still staying strong. And that doesn't mean you should continue to hold. If you are optimizing your position, you should definitely be a little bit sizing down, especially when we have lost two significant levels here, right? So that's where the problem is. Now, it's not a big problem as other ones right now, because it's overall still fine until 800. So it's not a hard stop loss. Okay, Seagate is still stronger than the other ones right now, but definitely it's in the decline, which has a little bit started a multi-day weakness below 906. And so, but yeah, so keep an eye on this, but it hasn't hit like a hard stop loss thing, so it is still fine. It has still a lot of room to possibly stabilize. Marvel, that rejection, we've got a bounce from 170, and I told you 220 until there's just going to be a bounce. We got the bounce and selling off already. That was just a bounce, right? Overall structure still remains negative for us, exactly how I mentioned to you guys. Nvidia is looking okay. It still did its gap downs today, came down, but it is holding 204, so all good still on Nvidia. Technically, upside is still in the game on this thing. It is holding the structure. AMD did come down, but bouncing up at 528, 530. You cannot do really big decisions in this zone, guys. Okay, so you can't do anything here in this zone if you're looking at it from long-term perspective. At this point, either you gotta let it see if it's gonna break down again, or unfortunately, or well, actually fortunately, or it's gonna continue up. But you cannot make big decisions in this zone. You can just size down or whatnot, but you cannot load up big positions here in either direction on AMD here. Okay, ARM exactly worked out as how I was telling you. Rebound can build up, but until here 302 will still, overall structure will still be negative. This is just going to remain a bounce. We got that coming down now, so that's that. Broadcom zigzaggy here, and that's why I'm not really trading Broadcom. If you really want to look at that from the long-term perspective, 350 area around, you can have your stop loss. Above that, based on your risk management and risk tolerance, you can have a position. I'm not doing anything on this. It's just choppy as how much choppy it can get, so make your decision. I mean, I would love to even this price to go down. At least that gives some moves, right? And at least it gives you some moves of buying at cheaper prices. What I hate about the sideways action is that you're not really getting an upside. Your capital is locked, and you really don't have, it's just not worth taking the risk. When the stock price, even let's say it's falling, at least you can define your risk. At least you know, okay, if I buy here, how much reward I'm potentially shooting for, and what is my more risk, right? So at least that's the benefit. Even you can be really good bull even on the downtrend, okay? But with the problem with the sideways action is that you really don't have real high reward building up as the price is falling, because it's choppy. But just because it's choppy, it doesn't mean it's going to shoot up. It can still collapse. So with time, your capital is being locked up. You have no definition of what the potential reward is, what the potential risk is, and you're just locked up in the capital. So your time is getting wasted with the capital locked up with no risk to reward identification. And that's why I don't like the sideways action regardless of whichever company it is. TSM. TSM 420 is rejecting it, coming down, so doesn't really fully gain the upside. So yeah, still weak. Now Intel has had its earnings yesterday. It was looking good in the post market. Unfortunately, it said can't do it. I'm tired. Can't do it. Lost the yellow zone, and thus continues its in its weakness right now. There is strength is not there on Intel. So, all right, let's see if the second test holds. If it doesn't, kaboom, kaboom. 200 days moving average can test it there. All right. Well, guys, let's take a look at Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500. Market is definitely in the sell-off. Nasdaq 100 was more red at one point, a little bit getting bought up. You can thank maybe Apple for that today. I'm just going to show you real quick. Like Apple, I have been telling my members, like it's in my members only coverage. We made a lot of money from here till here. And then here I said, guys, don't trade right now. This was the trade back in again. Like this is where our exit was. This is where our re-entry was. And we have been still holding bullish strength on this thing. I have told my members these plays on my Patreon. Apple was one of those. All right, but yeah, it's still good. But let's take a look at Nasdaq 100 here, right? So Nasdaq 100, excuse me, still in the decline though. Still in the weakness. You cannot really look upside below this 703, 704. So still declining. Yes, a little bit getting bought up at this zone again, but let's see how it technically closes the day. It's just a bounce technically for now. Looking good though on the lower time frame, like 5 minutes or so. But I won't get too excited here right now. S&P 500 shooting quite strong, at least not like full on like very strengthful, but it is at least bouncing quite strong. Oh, from its overall structure of 737, and it is all good. And well, all good in the overall structure. Been in the multi-day weakness though so far, right? It kept rejecting at that zone of 750, thus couldn't really regain the multi-day strength. And even let's see today how it closes. It doesn't mean that it's just bullish from here. It's just that it is for a day trying to hold some rebound strength again here right now. That's all I had for you guys in this video. And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to check out my DRAM portfolio. Details are in the description of this video, guys. All right, take care. Bye.